By the way, straight back from Tallahassee. The new week is here.
Amazing weekend.
Yeah, an absolute amazing weekend. If you kept up with the show, you know what that weekend consisted of. The Miami Hurricanes came all the way from Coral Gables up to Tallahassee to take on their hated rivals, the Florida State Seminoles. Number 4. Man, it started off as looking like it was going to be a beatdown, but things got a little better after that.
Yeah, I was hoping for a good game. I did not want to see a beatdown. I didn't want it to be like 24-3 at the half and look at my son and be like, you want to roll? Let's, game's over.
Well,
So props to the Hurricanes. They fell behind early, but they hung in there. I thought they had the lead. It looked like a safety.
yeah.
And they never showed a good replay on the big screen, so I don't know if it was or wasn't.
Man.
And I looked for highlights on YouTube, but they don't show the safety, what could have been the safety play, because it wasn't a scoring play. They don't show it. Or I haven't been able to see it, so I don't know if it was a safety and the refs were on some bullshit.
We know what the refs were on because there were some pretty bad calls out there as well. Missed calls, not being a Miami Hurricane fan, but being a college football fan or even a football fan. You saw some of those penalties that weren't called. There was a pass interference that wasn't called. But either way, before we even jump this off any further, man, give a little tribute to those Florida State Seminoles. They are still in number 4. They will get their comeuppance eventually, but until then, they rule the roost for right now. Hey, we call the AWS Production presents Florida State for 2007. Not exactly this year, but hey, you still have the war champion.
I'm gonna need all my Seminoles to stand up. Yeah. They ain't ready for this. Rough fight. I bet they know.
All right, that'll be that. That's enough of that for now, man. Come on, man, get out of here. Woo, gave them their little tribute, man. But back to the game itself, it was an excellent game, excellent atmosphere. You came down with your son all the way from Chicagoland, watching some Southern-style football. Not a lot of Southern hospitality for you, but they wasn't too hospitable to the damn Canes either, or neither were the refs to the Canes or anybody else.
Yeah, again, as I was alluding to, we were concerned it might not be a close game, but the Hurricanes stuck with it. And even when they got down 2 touchdowns, they could have let go of the rope, but they scored, even though it was on maybe a busted play on Florida State's fault. Miami still scored. They took a shot, and the guy caught it and went the distance. And they had a shot at the end. They had the ball down 7, trying to go down and score, but your favorite quarterback came in and threw a pick.
Tyler Van Dyke, and he saw why he wasn't going to be the guy to start the game. They didn't make the announcement until before the game, obviously, that they were going to start the true freshman, Emory Williams, who started and won the Clemson game when Tyler Van Dyke was out with an injury. He's obviously the future of the Canes, and like as it goes with college football, he's not Emory Williams is a Mario Cristobal recruit. Mario Cristobal doesn't have any loyalty or doesn't have to have any loyalty to Tyler Van Dyke the way college football goes. He's a Manny Diaz guy, and it took him some time to get his opportunity to at least get to this point. But over the past few games, 4 games in particular, he had 5 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. He had 4 multiple interception games in that time period, including 2 times in which he had 3. So it was pretty apropos to end the game the way it ended last Saturday, with him on the line, looking to do something with that team, throwing the pick.
Even if he didn't throw the pick, it was going to be tough for them to go. I think they were around the 40.
Yeah.
They're on 40 at that point. No timeouts. They still had 60 yards to go. He was under pressure. Nobody was open. He threw it to the one guy that was one-on-one, and his guy didn't win the matchup. What are you going to do?
He threw it across his body, first of all, so that's probably one of the cardinal sins in college football or even pro football, period. Don't throw it across your body.
Either that or get sacked. And
he was in a bad situation. He was in a bad situation to begin with. So, I'm not going to go completely in on him. He threw the interception. What option did you have? It was 4th down. What else were you going to do? You either throw an incomplete pass, you get the same result. Right. Doing a pass, interception, same result. But the play calling was a problem for me with Miami. They were running the ball well, and then Florida State did make their adjustments, and they did slow down the run, but then Miami still tried to run the ball when they probably should have been throwing a little more. They did give Emory a chance to throw the ball a little bit more, but the plays they were calling to throw the ball to, this just wasn't working. And he was a little off himself, being a true freshman, but, man, the constant 3 straight downs of running up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. Florida State adjusted it and made it happen. But on the other hand, Jordan Travis wasn't very impressive. And Keon Coleman coming back from the game he missed the week before, showing up not necessarily as a wide receiver, but he did show that he can still have an impact on the game, running the punt that really put them in position.
And that might have been the big play of the game because you mentioned play calling. I was disappointed in Miami's play calling at the end of the half. They were down in the red zone, probably around the 13. They had a big play that got them down there.
Yeah.
Instead of taking a shot into the end zone, they ran it right into the middle. And their play calling left a lot to be desired. They got to punch it in there. They had trouble moving the ball most of the half, but Florida State only had 10 points. And at that point, it was 7-10 Florida State. And if they go up, they go into the half with momentum. It would have been damn near a miracle for them to come out leading at the half the way the game was going. As I mentioned, they couldn't move the ball. They were struggling, but somehow, they got a turnover, they got close, and they scored, and then they were down there again. But they didn't go for it. They ended up kicking the field goal. They could end up going tied to the half, 10-10. That just – I think, that the players probably felt a letdown. Like, man, if they go in 14-10, man, you know how confident they're how high their confidence goes up after that. Like, man, we couldn't do nothing, and we're still leading.
Well,
but
you know what?
When it's tied, it's different.
I saw the confidence that they had just being able to make it 10-10 because the way it started off, and you look at the yardage, you saw how many yards that Florida State had, and Miami was stuck on like 6 yards forever. Then maybe did 20-something yards forever. And it looked like, oh, man.
Florida State couldn't run the ball too much either.
Miami shut that run game down. That's why. It was Trey Benson coming out of the backfield that made the big play. And then Jordan Travis, not really a special quarterback in my opinion anyway. And this isn't hitting against the Florida State Seminoles. If they have a great quarterback, like I called Jameis Winston when he was at Florida State, I'll call a great quarterback if they're there. But he's not that great quarterback. And it surprised me just the visual, the optics of seeing all of these people with Jordan Travis jerseys as if he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. I don't think he is. It's a bit of homerism, of course, and I can understand that. But he didn't play like a top player or a top quarterback or at least an elite quarterback. I think he's probably just as, in terms of the way he's doing things now, just as effective or just as accomplished, not accomplished, but doing just as much as Carson Beck right now, who hasn't had a breakout game until this past weekend. With at least the yardage was big, but he still threw the 2 touchdowns and the 1 pick, but he has a supporting cast. But Florida State still wins the game, but I'm not going to be upset. This isn't a moral victory. Miami didn't come for a moral victory. They came here to win the game, and they proved that they tried to win this game. They had every opportunity to win the game. They shut down the run. They a true freshman. The future looks bright even after the injury. And now it's going to be another set of issues coming up with Tyler Van Dyke and Jakari Brown maybe having to burn his red shirt perhaps, but that's another story. But to lose last year in Coral Gables, 45-3, and then push the envelope in this game here shows the improvement from year to year. And I know people are going to kill Mario Cristobal. There has been a few things to kill him about this season. I don't believe this is one of them. I just think that the roster is better across the board, the offensive line in particular. Defensively, forget about it. Just Ruben Bain is just an absolute monster on that defensive line, getting after the quarterback, getting the 3 sacks in this game, more in other games. There's a lot to look forward to if you're a Canes fan, but Florida State, where do they go from here? Florida's an out-of-conference game, big rival game here in the state of Florida. I think it's in Gainesville this year. I'm listening to some of these fans there. I was surrounded like you were by Florida State fans, and as we should have been at Doak Campbell Stadium, at Bobby Bowden Field. And I heard a number of them say, I wasn't surprised, but I was kind of surprised they were vocal about it and saying this team just can't hang with the top 3 teams. They can't hang with they can't hang with Georgia. They can't hang with Ohio State or Michigan. And they said even Bama, some of them. And I was like, I agree. I wasn't going to say it because all you would have got was hate, hate, hate. You hating. You just lost. No, I've always believed that, well, of late. But looking at them straight up, they don't have it. But be good. This is a process.
Yeah, I was going to say that my analysis of them, they did not look like the number 4 team in the country. But again, they're playing their heated rival, and Miami came in fired up. Even though there was some suspect play calling, they played with high intensity, and anything can happen in rivalry games. You saying you don't want to kill Crystal Ball? I don't know if you could kill him, or people would have an opportunity to kill him, or have too much ammunition. But I think you can't criticize the play calling before the half. They didn't even try to score. Like, they just expected a guy to run 13 yards for the touchdown up the middle. That's not going to happen, more than likely, right?
Yeah.
And then as to why they weren't passing so much, I think it was because when they did pass, the passes were off. They were either short or behind the receivers. He just couldn't connect, whether it was timing or he just didn't have enough zip on his passes. I don't know what the situation was. But I saw a lot of guys diving for balls, reaching back for balls. So it's hard to keep passing, or, you don't want to be second and 10 every possession. So you run the ball, try and get a couple yards. But Florida State was shutting it down. So they're ending up second and 10, second and 11, second and 9 often, which made it more difficult to pass.
I was thinking getting the tight end involved a little bit more would have been helpful. I don't think they did enough
Probably.
of that. And Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, I think Mario Cristobal is doing the delegation thing and doing it the true way. You hire this guy, you have confidence in this man, you let him do his job. You can oversee it as a head coach, but you let the offensive coordinator do the offensive coordinator's job. So I don't think that falls on Cristobal. And let the offensive coordinator take the blame if there's going to be blame to have. And that's what happened. I mean, now you said there was errant passes, I believe too. There was a whole bunch of errant passes from a true freshman, but I can't keep using that as a qualifier. True freshman. That's the reason why he did this. He's in a couple of games.
I said that to say why they continue to run the ball every first down, every second down, because when they did pass it, the passes were off for the most part.
I'm thinking more high percentage passes, like a screen would have been a little bit more helpful, especially with the running backs being the way they were out there. The same way Trey Benson ran his big run off. Got his pass and ran a big run. The Canes can do the same. They have running backs just as good. And if you want to take a little pressure off your young quarterback and take a little bit of pressure off the offensive line, which they weren't having many problems either. Offensive line was playing a whole lot better than I've seen previous years' offensive lines of the Canes. And they had every opportunity. I like the way things are going. I don't want to try to find the silver lining, but I do see the process. If this is a second year, people forgetting in this microwave society we have with NIL and transfer portal, they want you to be great immediately. He's bringing in, this is just his second recruiting class. He has a third recruiting class mixed with the guys he already has. Things can be even better next year for Canes fans. As for Florida State, they're a lot further ahead than what the Canes are right now. Or are they really? After this game, we don't know. Is the ACC really not that good? That's why Florida State is giving more opportunity or giving more credence than they deserve. They did have that Boston College game earlier this year where it took 18 penalties by Boston College and over 100 yards of penalty yardage for Florida State to squeak that one out and a penalty at the end of the game. But anyway, kudos for Florida State for being able to beat Miami again. It's going to be in Coral Gables next year. I think there's going to be a different outcome to it. And it definitely is, because I don't think Jordan Travis is going to be anymore.
But let me just speak to the experience, because if people are watching or listening to us, they may not want to hear our analysis of the game. They want to hear what was it like if they haven't been there before or if they're considering to go there.
Yeah.
I have been to Nebraska. That's my team. I've been to Lincoln, Nebraska. I've been to Michigan State. I've been to Purdue. I've been to Notre Dame. And the game experience by far, the best one is Florida State. By far. It's not even close. Not even close. Even as a Nebraska fan, it doesn't compare. Now, I haven't been to Nebraska recently. You know, they do the fourth quarter thing with the light show and everything.
Yeah.
But how long does that last? That's 2 minutes. At Florida State, and it could have been the opponent too. They're playing Miami. They're a big rival. But 80,000 screaming fans. When that game was in doubt at the end, the stadium was shaking. I could feel it shaking. And everybody doing the tomahawk chant and chanting. And man, it was just an incredible, phenomenal experience. If you love college football and you want to go, you're not sure who should I go watch, go to a Florida State game at least one time in your life. You will not regret it. Now, as far as Trav mentioned Southern hospitality earlier, now the nicest people anywhere are Nebraskans. Anywhere I've been, they don't compare. The people in Nebraska are so nice. They found out I'm from Chicago, and like they put an arm around me. Hey, we're glad to have you. I mean, it was amazingly nice. People at Notre Dame. It could have been I was with friends, and my friend, he tailgates often, so we were talking with like 25, 30 other people. Michigan State, though, we didn't know anybody, and we ended up tailgating with a bunch of other people around us. That did not happen at Florida State. Florida State, if you're looking to mingle with other people, other Florida State fans, you're really going to have to like force your way in, because if you just try and talk and be nice, they kind of don't, they're not receptive to it. They'll greet you, they say hello, but they will not welcome you in. So that's the only drawback.
And then we did go out there the day before the game on Friday night. We went out there and with your son and you, and we saw that everyone looked the same. Come on, we had to throw that out there.
All the guys were dressed alike.
Out there, man. Change your clothes. Everybody looked alike.
All of the guys were dressed alike. All of the girls were dressed alike. Not every single one, but I say a good 75%. Yeah. But too many of them together. You know, if you saw 3 girls, they're all wearing the white top with black shorts and the big boots. You saw 4 guys walking together. They all had the hat, gray shirt and jeans. I mean, what the hell's going on here? It's crazy.
That's just, bro, I'm seriously, that was what was going on. They almost all looked alike. Everybody was like a clone out there.
Are those the same 3 people we just saw back there? It was like, hey.
Yeah, but that weather got us a little bit in the beginning, man. It was pretty doggone hot, which is to be expected too.
That's what I wanted to say. I learned why Marvin Jones was looking for shade, man. Oh my gosh. It was almost oppressive. It was so hot Saturday. That sun was beating down on us. We found some shade under a tree. I was like, you can call me Shade Tree from now on too, man. I understand. And it wasn't even summertime. It just felt like summertime.
But I like the campus.
It made us feel like home because, around 4 o'clock, the sun was down and the chill started to set in. I'm like, man, this is like Chicago. You get 2 seasons in one day.
Yeah, it was just an overall nice atmosphere. I could dig that. I've been to Tallahassee a couple of times. I've been to a Florida State Miami game before. As I was talking to one of the people who was out there, my last Florida State Miami game was when Kyle Wright was there. So that lets you know how long ago that was. Either way, this was an excellent game. This was a lot better game than that game I saw back then. Miami lost that one on Labor Day night. So this one, excellent game. Not the right result if you're a Canes fan. We'll be back next year, of course. But the overall experience for us, excellent. Once again, to get a chance to chill for a moment. The day before the game, the day of the game, walking from the parking lot to the game, all of that, man. Seeing Renegade Chief Osceola doing what they do out there. All that pageantry that comes with it. Watching the players get off the bus, that kind of thing.
Call it the legacy walk. They have a DJ and the band. First the band plays a song, then the DJ plays a song. And we got there late. I don't know how long that goes on. We were on the wrong side of the stadium by the tailgaters, but
yeah,
we got there right on time because it was maybe 3 or 4 songs, and then the bus arrived, the buses arrived, and then the players did their walk. But being right there that close to the band, when them I don't know what um, instruments there are, the trombones or when the horns go, man, the crowd erupts, and I mean you feel it. You got the drums right there banging, man. It was something.
And those are true home field advantages. That a lot goes into that home field advantage because I'll tell you what, the atmosphere was almost the same for when South Carolina played Florida for the game I went to just a couple of weeks ago in South Carolina. There's nothing at stake, and it still was pretty electric like this was. So, that's that Southern thing too. That's an SEC arena, and things are a little bit different with the SEC be playing because, like they say, I think it means more. But this was still a hell of a damn environment to watch a game and get the result we did. Possible overtime game. It was possible, but it didn't happen. But Miami showed that they belong and showed that the process is still going. People just have to be patient. Even in this day and age of microwave success, you have to be good the next week. We've seen some of these coaches become casualties. We'll probably get around to that a little later as Jimbo Fisher's getting paid about $77 million not to coach as Texas A&M was getting rid of him. And then Zach Arnett for Mississippi State, who took over for Mike Leach, who tragically passed away last year from a heart attack. He gets fired today. They just have to pay him $4 million. I guess they're glad it's not $77 million. Mississippi State.
So if Jimbo gets hired somewhere else, do they still pay him that $77 million?
You know what? I don't even know how it is anymore because I thought before that if you made a lateral move, I guess they still pay. They don't have to pay you. But I don't know how it works out, but it looks like he's going to get his lump sum or get his sum over time or whenever it's coming. Because Willie Taggart's still getting paid.
You talk about getting a bag.
If you're the coach or the agent, that's a good business to be in. But another thing, those Texas boys will get you out of there if they want you out of there. And they do have the money to get you out of there.
And there's talk that Deion might go to Texas A&M because he wants to be in the SEC. Like after one season, oh man, if he does that.
You know what? These Texas teams, if they want him, they can buy him out. They don't have any problem. If they're buying this clown out for $77 million, who's done absolutely nothing, even when he got that historic recruiting class, not this past season, but the season before, and everybody was expecting a whole bunch, and nothing became of it. That's why he's losing his job. Jimbo Fisher, he should have stayed at Florida State, but I think Florida State is happy with what they have right now with Mike.
But if Deion goes to Texas A&M, man, I would consider him just like pimping himself.
That's the highest bidder. The highest bidder. And that's what he's been doing. We will get to talk about him in a minute ourselves too, man, because Deion had some problems with his Colorado Buffaloes. Not that they weren't expected. I think this is kind of what people could have expected if they were being realistic to begin with, losing this amount of games and probably winning that amount of games they have now, which is 4. I think they're not going to win any more this season. They won't become bowl eligible, but there's nothing wrong with that. They weren't bowl eligible last year, but they're better than they were last year. The trajectory seems to be on the right track, but along with that trajectory are things that that come with it. It is Deion Sanders, and we talk about him all the time as being who he is, and how he's the Pied Piper. But Winston Watkins, one of the top receivers in the entire country, one of the guys who jumped on his bandwagon once he came to Colorado, has decommitted now. He doesn't want to go there and be with Coach Prime now. That's something to talk about because along with all of the Pied Piper rhetoric comes the nature of college football as it stands right now. Fickle kids. Really fickle or just being kids? Well, kids change their mind. And because you're Deion or anybody else, people decommitted from Nick Saban before. And this guy is the real Pied Piper who's established as a college coach. Deion's now going to get this, and I don't think this is going to be the last time.
Oh, I just want to mention, they asked me at work, how was my weekend, blah, blah, and I told them how it was. And one guy, he's a Michigan fan. He's like, you should have gone to the big house. I said, nah, they asked me if I knew the other team's signals. I couldn't go.
Yeah, man. Bro, gang sign, do something. Try to get
your face.
I bet.
That's what's going on.
But you know what?
Ain't none. But hey, come on.
But look,
what is so special about Michigan other than it's 100,000 something?
it's a dead
There's no Chief Osceola's
no, nothing.
tradition. There's no war chant going on, tomahawk chop. There's none of that going on. And that's what I went for. I want to experience that firsthand. If I go to Michigan, I just say, "Oh, I went to the big house. What happened? Oh, Michigan won."
Yep, but this time, hey, they went to Penn State in front of another crowd of over 100,000, and they were able to beat Penn State. And I think even without Jim Harbaugh, there's something to be said about them, in my opinion, since the beginning of the season, arguably being number one. Ohio State had already beaten Penn State, but they were in the confines of the horseshoe. Now Michigan, with all the tumultuous nonsense going on, Jim Harbaugh not there possibly for the rest of the season, at least regular season, well, they still win without him. And now McCarthy is now a Heisman Trophy candidate just based on, I don't really know based on numbers, maybe the other number like wins and losses. So he's there. I don't think he should win it, but hey, Michigan showed up and Michigan beat Penn State. And that is a damn good Penn State team.
Tip of the hat to the Wolverines and their coach. I don't even know his name, the guy that was crying. That emotion he was showing shows he had to feel a lot of pressure. Like, man, just found out last night, and now he had to feel the weight of the world. If I lose this game, is he going to get the blame or what? But I think they ran the ball 32 straight times to end the game. That's just a big FU. Like, you can't stop us. You just run it. That's crazy to me. I've never heard of 32 straight running plays.
And now Jim Harbaugh is saying that Michigan should be America's team now because of what's going on with him and how they're playing without him. Come on, man. Stop trying to write another narrative.
No, and all these people saying they rushed to judgment. Do they know that Harbaugh knew about it? Again, it doesn't matter if he knew about it. Someone on his staff was doing shit he wasn't supposed to do, and that makes Harbaugh responsible. Like, if you don't teach your child right, your children correctly, they go out and do some dumb shit, you're responsible.
Yeah, it's true. Regardless if you told them to do it, you can teach them as well as you want. But when they go out and do it themselves, they screw up. It's coming back to you, especially if they're minors. It's coming back to you. And
that's what I mean. That's why I said children. I'm not talking about a 22 or 25-year-old. I'm talking about young kids.
Yeah, and it comes back to you. And the lack of institutional control, it comes back to that. So
I didn't want to say that. I probably said it 3 times last week, or like 8 times since the story broke.
Yeah, and now look at it. They're still winning. They're still winning, and the only thing that looks like they can stop them or at least give them competition is Ohio State, a game that we knew was going to happen anyway, and it's going to be at the big house this year. So at least they have that in their back pocket, being able to take on Ohio State, because Ohio State has a lot to bring to the table. And Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, what he does, it seems pedestrian compared to what he could do. He's averaging nearly a fifth of a freaking football field every time he touches the ball. And he's getting his touchdown. I think he has 10 touchdowns this season. And, and Kyle McCord, he makes it easy for Kyle McCord, being his first time starting and whatnot. But I think that Ohio State team is a formidable team. Those two teams certainly even. I think this is one of those times where there won't be a blowout one way or the other. Take the freaking under, I guess, if you have these two teams get together. It's going to be a tough time. And they're going to decide who's going to be one or two, I believe, because now I got to think about Georgia again, who finally decided to blow out a team. I mean, Kentucky's not – you look at Kentucky, we know college basketball season's back, but Kentucky can play some football. Stoops is there. He had them playing good football for a few years now. But Georgia blew them out 52-17. They hadn't beaten anybody like that that's worth a damn all season. They finally do it. They get the points. They get Brock Bowers is back from the ankle injury. They have running the ball well. Everything worked out, clicked just in time, because I needed a sign that they were still looking to really defend this title, going for this three-peat, and that they really belonged in the mix with the other teams I've mentioned, Michigan and Ohio State. And now that we're looking at it, Bama, the team I thought had no shot, this team may have the best defense in the country. And now that Jalen Monroe is playing the way he's playing, man, they literally are back in the house and an SEC championship away from an opportunity at another national championship.
Yeah, and when you consider Washington seems to struggle every week, if not every other week, and had a game-winning drive, I think, this weekend against Utah. And we saw Florida State firsthand. They look vulnerable, you know. They don't look like number 4, number 5 teams in the nation, but they keep winning. So as long as they keep winning, that's what matters most. But I think, and I think you agree with me, you maybe alluded to it earlier, when they play another top 5 team, it's probably not going to go well.
Nope.
I wouldn't expect it to go well. If either one of them play Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, maybe even Bama, I don't know that they'll get to play them, but they did, they probably lose.
Yeah, that Bama team is looking so much different now. I didn't think that Jalen Monroe would look this good. And I'm talking about looking good, not necessarily having to throw the ball and read defenses all the time, but what Nick Saban has done for him, putting him in position to really succeed. This is Nick Saban's, in my opinion, best coaching job since he's been at Alabama, to make this player, who I thought was just a running back doing halfback options, into a legitimate quarterback, knowing that he can run the ball because he's that good of an athlete, that great of a runner, but then concentrating on his passing to do just enough to make things a pain in the ass for any team that decides to deal with him. He comes after you with that aggression. He could run you over as a quarterback, but now he can read those defenses and get that intermediate pass. And we already know, based on his average pass with a touchdown over 19 yards, 20 yards, that the big plays just a moment away from him as well.
Right. Yeah, Bama's really been rolling the last few weeks, and that defense has stepped it up. They were losing against Tennessee, but the defense didn't allow them to score again, and the offense got it together. And since that Tennessee game, they've been rolling.
Yeah, and incidentally, Georgia played against Ole Miss, and I remember somebody at the game we were at was next to me who was like, Ole Miss is going to upset them. And I think he's saying it as a Florida State fan because it gives them a little bit of something to think about. That Mississippi, I'm going back to the Georgia game, that Mississippi was going to upset Georgia, because I think he was looking for Alabama, whatever, to do.
They're looking for hope.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. And I was like, bro, they're not going to upset them, And then Georgia goes out and destroys Ole Miss the way they did, but Alabama kills Kentucky the way they did. But I tell you what, with all the football going on in the SEC and everywhere in the country, before the weekend, we kind of pointed to certain games we wanted to see. We specifically pointed to the game we were at because we were looking forward to that game for quite some time. But the LSU Florida game has to be spoken about. LSU beat Florida 52-35, but it's not even the score. It's what a guy I talked about before the season started, Jaden Daniels, a guy who I've labeled as a fraud. I know the tribesmen out there, you're talking about it because he's a black quarterback. I've heard the tribesmen before. But Jaden Daniels, I thought Garrett Nussmeier would be quarterback in LSU by now. No way. That guy won't sniff a day on the football field if Jaden is going to just leave the school or is taking a rest. Jaden Daniels was phenomenal this past week, and his numbers proved how phenomenal he was, setting an SEC record, 606 yards in total yardage, which included an 85-yard touchdown. I mean, he ran for 234 yards, and then he passed for 272 yards. Florida couldn't do anything about it. This guy was a one-man show. The most yards I've seen in the past was obviously, if you watch SEC football, was Rohan Davey years ago with LSU. He had 500 and change, but no one doing it like this was done the other day with Jaden Daniels. Credit to him, and even more credit because it was the Gators on the receiving end.
Yes. That's incredible, man. Speaking of Gators, I saw like 2 or 3 people with Gator shirts at the game. Yeah. One guy walked past him. I was like, hey, my man, you're at the wrong game. He started laughing. He's like, I know, man. We got him in a couple of weeks, though. He dabbed me up.
He scouting
like,
too?
He said, he dabbed me up saying, good win tonight, man. Enjoy it. I'm like, man, I'm not even a Florida State fan, bro.
Got a bunch of misfits in the stadium, man. Dude's dope.
But I wasn't there with my Nebraska jersey.
Yeah, the guy in front of me was a Gator fan. He just said, "Yo, bro, I went to sleep last night. I just ended up here, bro." And then he was antagonizing the entire time. Even when Miami, he was a Gator fan rooting for Miami only because it made Florida State fans upset. And that's the way you should do it.
A live troll.
Absolute troll. He was doing a good job at it, man. He's one of those guys you just can't win the argument because He just can't win the argument. He's never going to acquiesce. He'll just keep saying or yelling and talking over you. But what Jaden Daniels did against the Gators, certainly something to talk about. And 701 yards the Gators had given up. I think that's the most they've given up in their history. It should be. I don't know too many teams giving up 700 yards in the SEC at all, including Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that was an amazing performance, man. I missed it. We were at our game or the tailgate, and back at the hotel room, we had some bootleg channels.
Bro, you could have bought Rockefeller set this tree up in there though, those high ceilings, bro.
Yeah. Even if I had brought my Fire Stick, there was no HDMI connection. I'm like, damn, how old is this TV, man? I mean, the room was cool. You were there, you saw it. You had the loft, and all that, and the balcony, but
it was cool.
The amenities, man. Come on, you gotta step up your game. You gotta have a TV with HDMI.
Man. Well, that concludes our college experience. I mean, games going on while we were at that game, but hey, if you caught a couple of highlights after you got back home or just caught some highlights on YouTube, you got a chance to see a lot of these other teams while we were at Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday watching those Canes trying to do it against Florida State. Couldn't do it this time, maybe next year. But then there was tomorrow, and from that day, that's Sunday. And then when it's Sunday, it's continued football because it started last Thursday. Well, a lot being said about football this time because another guy in the tribesmen were after me back then. CJ Stroud is going to be a bust. I wonder who said that. But anyways, look at him now. We're talking about just giving the guy the Rookie of the Year award right now. Forget Rookie of the Year. This dude might end up in the NFL Player of the Year conversation. At least he needs to be there.
I mean, for him to get the dub against Joe Cool yesterday, man, that speaks volumes as to the level he's playing at right now. To outdo Joe Cool, they were up on them, and the Bengals tried coming back, and CJ Stroud's like, nah, bro, I got this. We're just going to march down a little bit, kick this field goal, walk out of here with the dub. I mean, they weren't even at home. They went to Cincinnati, came out with the dub. And the Bengals been on the road. Joe Cool's been healthy, been balling, throwing all kind of numbers. Touchdown passes to Higgins, to Chase. Mixon's been running the ball, and the Texans come out with the dub. Man
we've talked about it for weeks now, how Joe Cool was coming back. And we was like, when he gets off an injury, especially, get that bye week, get himself together. He came back after the bye week, showed that he was back, putting up the numbers. Then he comes here. He started off slow, but he started getting it back. But, man, he was outshined. Even though he had a better quarterback rating, he got outshined by the rookie. And I'm hoping this isn't a one-off. I can't see how it can be a one-off. I know coaches are going to get films, and they're going to look at his weaknesses and look at his strengths and try to keep those to a minimum. But, man, on this week-to-week thing right now, he's so far ahead of the curve.
I'll tell you what, though. CJ Stroud he's got to have immense confidence, man. He's got the right makeup to succeed in the league. He threw a pick six and then got the Bengals back in the game, and he still drove them down the game. If there was a game where he's going to fall flat on his face, it was yesterday because he threw the pick six, and you expect things to kind of snowball
young kid
in favor of the Bengals after that, but he didn't allow it. He's like, nope, we're going to go down and kick this field goal. He drove him down, got the field goal. I mean, you just don't see that from rookie quarterbacks. No. Just throw that bad pass away. All right, I'm the bad pass. Let's go. We're moving on. Hey,
well, I'm just glad
he's like a closer in that aspect.
He is.
Closer blows one game Monday night, comes out Tuesday, I forget about it.
Whiffs him.
1, 2, 3, back at it.
Yeah, and being here in Jacksonville, being in the AFC South area because of the Jaguars, we get to see him twice a year, not here in Jacksonville, but just playing the Jags, whether on television or if you go down to the stadium. And I'll get a chance, I guess if he could stay healthy, get a chance to watch this guy for his entire career coming to Jacksonville and watching him on television. I hope it's not a blip on the radar because I remember Rick Meyer was pretty damn good in his freaking rookie year. And well, not like this. Anybody was like this. Dan Marino wasn't like this, bro. This dude was doing it, man. Like Dan. In fact, he's better than Dan now.
And it's not even that he's playing well. It's not that he had the 5 touchdowns. is that he had 40 seconds and he had to drive him down to get his 5th touchdown and the victory with no timeouts. Rookies just don't do that, man. And then again yesterday, another last-minute drive. Rookies just don't do that back-to-back weeks. So to me, it's not about the numbers. I've said this before. Don't tell me what you did. Tell me when you did it. And this guy's doing it in the last minute of games. The conversation over.
Yeah, he's doing it exactly because, the numbers couldn't be a bit inflated if you look at some numbers, but looking at the games he's been in, and even when you look at the 5 touchdown games, you see what he had done to get to that point. In a game like this, where you just have a touchdown and the interception, but you see what he's done between the lines, and they still got the W, and it's because of him. It wasn't like some flukish play that came along and they ended up winning, and he just happened to be on the team. He's being the reason why they win. And we've seen enough teams in the NFL with their quarterbacks, as we've had 11 rookie quarterbacks start at one point or another this season that can't move the ball. We have third-year quarterbacks named Zach Wilson who can't move the ball. And we see this. So this guy comes in as a rookie. They have video on him from week to week because he's making his own history every time he goes out there. They'll have more video and time to look after him during the offseason and come back with something even tougher next year. But right now, as it is, as it stands, they can't do nothing with him. They can't do a damn thing with him.
And look what happened with Baltimore and the Browns yesterday. The Ravens were in full control.
Yep.
Then the Browns started to try and creep back in it. They get the tip ball, the pick six, and then you figure, well, Lamar Jackson says they've been able to move the ball all game. Go down, get another score, put the game away. No, 3 and out, punt. Now the Bengals go down. Browns. That's how they lost. The Ravens couldn't get it going again. So that's why I think it's so impressive what Stroud did. He put that interception behind him, and he still got the job done. Lamar Jackson playing at a high level. He didn't even, his pass wasn't even as bad as Stroud's pass. His was tipped, and then a DB took it to the house. It's not like he undercut it like Stroud's pass. And so if anybody was going to disregard the pass, it should have been Lamar Jackson because he didn't throw a bad pass. It just got tipped.
Man, and that's another thing. I think statistically they should do something about that in the NFL. When a player has a pass that's tipped that probably would have been completed, is no fault of the quarterback other than throwing the ball itself. Come on, man. They need to have some type of a notation that says that this pass was, it's not necessarily an interception. I don't know how they'll probably put it there, but they need to say something different about that.
But then you would need a score like in baseball. Was that a hit or an error?
The analytics, man.
Because then is it the quarterback's fault that he got strip sacked from the blind side? He had no idea he was coming. Well, let's put that on the lineman.
You know what?
Who's going to decide when it falls on the quarterback or it falls on the lineman?
That's more of a natural occurrence, though, if someone gets after the quarterback.
I'm just saying the quarterback gets charged with a fumble. But how's he supposed to protect the ball? He's going back to pass and he gets stripped.
Better have his head on the
swivel. Where'd that guy come from?
But, Deshaun Watson started off slow in this game as well, and he came back and was able to help win this game because I was looking at this as, I think Deshaun Watson, I don't know what to think about him going, at least until the end. You don't know what to think about him because he hasn't had anything that was really going well this year between the injuries and when he was out there, he was looking pretty, not good and definitely not justifying the big contract he had just gotten. But then when it was time to get it done against a rival like the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore of all places, well, he pulls it off. The team pulls it off. And this is without Nick Chubb.
Yeah. We were traveling. My son was watching on his phone. It's a phone, so I couldn't really keep an eye on it. So I don't know exactly what happened. I know he threw that pick six, and from there, they couldn't move the ball. It's crazy because the Ravens defense has been pretty dominant this year. Considered probably the best defense in the league, and for them to give up that lead like that, that's got to be very frustrating.
Well, we talk about great defenses. Well, we got to go back to our great defensive team from the beginning.
49ers are back.
Freaking 49ers are back, and I don't think it's just saying it for the hell of it. I think it's legitimate. I watched that game, here in Jacksonville yesterday, where it felt more like San Francisco, a little chilly out there, damp, just like it would be in San Francisco. No home field advantage for the Jaguars, in my opinion, because other than a 3-hour time difference, San Francisco felt at home. And by the end of this game, it was their home. Like Jeff Fisher used to say about the Tennessee Titans when he was here, Jacksonville's not home away from home. For right now, it seems like that way for the 49ers, as Purdy looked like he's back on track. And I think it has a lot to do. Deebo Samuel is back. We saw that McCaffrey had his record snapped or had his streak snapped of 18 straight games with a touchdown, but he'll take the win, I'm sure. And everything, George Kittle making his big play, walked into the end zone. And then the defense, this is what people are looking for. If you're a 49ers fan or someone who paid attention to the trade that was made with Chase Young coming to the 49ers, former teammates with Nick Bosa, meeting at the quarterback as they did, getting the strip sack against Trevor Lawrence as they did, and winning the game in blowout fashion pretty damn easily. It was just an embarrassment of riches out there once again. The offense is able to move. I still think Brock Purdy is that good of their quarterback, but like any other quarterback missing their weapons, he had his problems. I mean, if you take even if it was Dwight Clark, or you take Jerry Rice off the teams that Joe Montana have, he's not having such a great time either. Brent Jones, Tom Raffman, all those guys he could throw to, take some of those guys off and see how well things go.
Yeah, so we were at the bar at the airport, and of course, Jacksonville being the home team, or their Florida team, they had the 49ers game on.
Yeah.
And what I saw was Lawrence getting sacked like every third or fourth play, man. They were in the backfield until we had to board our plane. I think we were almost at halftime, but they must have had 3 sacks by that time.
Man, it was all over him. And I'll tell you what, another thing, this is probably a year in which Lawrence has regressed. I was expecting a lot more. We're now this deep into the season, and this guy's coming off of a bye week. You think you'll get a little bit more extra preparation. You got your body hooked up a little bit, and you're still throwing 185 yards. You threw 2 picks this time, no touchdowns. Man, you haven't done much of anything this year in terms of that potency we're looking forward to with Doug Peterson being as great as he is with quarterbacks and with offenses. And we're expecting something completely different this year in terms of the offense. And Trevor Lawrence takes steps back. The numbers prove it. And I know this is what we said earlier about the numbers don't necessarily show everything, but the numbers have shown exactly how he's playing. I'm still blown away by how much they've won and the points they've scored without him having that 300-plus yard game with the 4 touchdowns like a Tua, or even 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's having a down year. Every time I see the scores on Sunday, I see they win 33-17. I'm like, Lawrence must have had a decent game. Then check the stats. He's like 14 for 7 for 19, 192 yards, no touchdowns.
Like
how the heck are they moving the ball?
Travis Etienne, sick as hell, getting the ball in the backfield.
But it's not like he's running for 150 yards either.
But he's getting combined, at least he's getting a combined 150 yards or so, or even better than that at times. And then they still have Evan Ingram at a tight end, and a Christian Kirk starting to wake up. And Calvin Ridley just absolutely went on the milk carton over the past several games. Go to aisle 10, find him. This guy hasn't been in the field. He's been lost.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on down there. Like I said, I only got to watch maybe to about 5 minutes left in the second quarter. So I don't know everything that was going on down there, but it just looked like the 49ers were wreaking havoc in the backfield yesterday.
And now with Chase Young and Nick Bosa familiar with one another, playing at Ohio State as they have, man, other teams are going to have issues. The Jaguars are supposed to be one of the better teams. Now they're going to go to their own division, playing teams like Seattle, which isn't that great, playing teams like the Cardinals, which we already know aren't that great. And Kyler Murray's back now, trying to run. He just
who they beat yesterday? They won, right?
Yeah, they won yesterday. He was able to pull it off yesterday, so he came back for that bad his ACL.
Who did they beat?
The first time they played yesterday, they played against the Falcons. Not a good team. Had their own quarterback issues. With Ritter and Heineke having their issues. But both of them, Heineke got hurt. Ritter had to come back in. He was out for a reason because he wasn't that good. So you got another issue there. Bijan Robinson, they give him the load. He's not going to get it done just running the ball. And, Kyler Murray, does have fast feet. He makes decent decisions sometimes, but also Atlanta isn't that good this year so far. So we have to look at that as well.
Cardinals have been terrible.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Upset.
I had them on the clock, though. I had the Arizona on the clock before the season started. So I don't know if that's changed a little bit, but we'll figure
What's
it
their
out.
record?
Huh?
What's their record?
With Carolina, Arizona, I think they have 2 losses. I mean, two
The
losses.
wins.
They have
Yeah.
2.
And the
yeah,
Bears are on the clock. They got the Panthers picked.
Either way, the Panthers. Oh God, what another. Whew, I see why all these rookies are getting a chance to play this year, man. You got these bad vets out there that just can't get the job done. And then speaking of bad vets who can't get the job done, even though he's only his 3rd year, my main dog that I wish the Jets had gotten, Mac freaking Jones, benched again. You already know the writing's on the wall. You've been hearing the rumors now about the same contract Bill Belichick just signed as an extension. Robert Kraft might just say, go to hell anyway, after all. And he benches Mac Jones, puts Bailey Zappi in again, and, well, they still lose. Same result.
I don't think it made a difference, but that interception he threw in the red zone, that guy was open, had his man beat by like 2 yards, and he underthrew him by like 8 yards. That was just a terrible pass. I don't know what he was trying to do there. And then he's getting bitched out on the sideline. He deserved it after that pass.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Probably, he's a Jacksonville guy. Like I keep saying, I watched this guy play as a high school guy. Man, I have a bit of an affinity for our local guys who end up getting to that freaking paramount point in life playing in the NFL. And even when they're doing poorly, I'm like, God, dog, I see it, man. But damn, it's like a little kid. You don't want to see him do badly, man. But he's gone. He's not going to be in New England long. And no one's going to trade for him, I doubt. I wish the Jets would have gotten him anyway. I would have taken him the way he is right now. And it's an improvement over what we have with Zach Wilson, who's just, oh, God. It always comes back to Zach Wilson when it comes to us. But anyway. Hey.
Someone on the morning show says the Chargers should hire Belichick. And I'm like, why? He's not a good coach. His record without Brady is well under 500.
But he's
well under 500. It's not like it's 40 and 42. I mean, I don't know what it is exactly. I saw the number, I forget, but it wasn't even close. Like he's like 18 games under 500 without Brady.
I remember years ago when he was with Bill Parcells and he ended up getting that Jets job for 24 hours before he eventually went to New England. But even before that, at Cleveland. And I remember when he was at Cleveland, he actually came to Alabama State University at one point to check out a kid that we had named Paul Ashby. So he came out. That's my first time seeing him in person on campus. At least I saw him at training camps, growing up. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I've always thought he was a great defensive guy. Now, as far as him getting the credit that he gets, and I even said he's probably the greatest coach of all time because I'm looking at statistics. I'm looking at championships. But then Brady leaves, gets a championship, and Bill Belichick probably doesn't even watch the Super Bowl anymore because he's not involved. So, yeah, there may be something.
But when he was at the podium a few years ago when it was Deflategate trying to give a science lesson. Who are you to give a science lesson how the ball expands and contracts in different climates? Man, fuck out of here, dude.
He was a YouTube genius. He had to go in and find this stuff out. But either way, I mean, I don't think that Mac Jones is going to be with the Patriots much longer. And probably a time for those two to separate and go their own ways and see a fresh start with Mac Jones, depending on where the hell he goes. I think he has the ability to be a solid quarterback. He hasn't even been a solid quarterback since his rookie year. And with this, what else is going to happen in New England anyways? I mean, they have 2 wins. And Bill Belichick's at the head of it. And how long will he continue to do that? How long will Bob Kraft and those whiners in the New England area going to put up with that? It'll be just a matter of time before, Kraft eats that contract that he just gave him and sends him on his merry way. And then, obviously, Mac Jones is going as well. And I was going to mention about, Detroit already said that 7-2 after beating the Chargers 41-38. The freaking Detroit Lions. Never would have saw that. But you know what? I saw someone talk about how they may have the best running back duo in the NFL between Montgomery and Gibbs. They may have something. There might be something to it. Those guys can run their asses off. You get the best of both worlds. Catching out of the backfield, run in the middle.
That could be accurate, but just want to mention Jordan Love ended the game with an interception yesterday, and another L for the Fudge Packers. Good luck in the draft, guys.
When I don't think anyone really believed that Jordan Love would be a continuation of what Brett Favre was and where Aaron Rodgers was. I don't think anyone really believed it. I think they did what they thought they needed to do, take the best athlete available for what they needed at the position, and they thought they could put him in a good position to where he could sit on the bench, which he did under Aaron Rodgers, a legendary quarterback, got us some valuable information on how to prepare for games, how to be around a quarterback of that stature, and then go out there and still play the games. Is this just his experience and the ups and downs that come with it, the hard knocks that comes with being a rookie or pretty much a rookie starter? And then next year, you might start seeing the improvement or seeing him do something, because Brett Favre was the same kind of guy. He used to throw picks all the time. And Rodgers, when he got his chance, but it was after time, started throwing things and looking well while he was doing it, because he had that time that the old school quarterbacks used to have, like Steve Young sitting behind Joe Montana.
I thought you were playing a track or something. I heard a noise.
Oh, nah. I got my Steelers fan tripping.
Now we're getting the beat.
Nah. Bro, I'm not even going to bother those Jets, man, after what happened last night. Come on.
We done with football?
Huh?
We done with football?
We're done with football. I was going to wonder what you were going to bring with basketball. I know.
James Harden Jr. Jordan Poole.
Yeah, Jordan Poole.
Yo, to each his own, man, but watching porn in the locker room?
Bruh, come on now.
What you doing at home on your own time, that's your business, man. But don't bring your home life to the locker room. What's wrong with you, man?
Well, who told on him? That's what I want to
know.
Somebody in the team doesn't like you.
Brian Williamson, probably.
Yo, man, look at you.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying. So obviously, we know who the problem was in Golden State last year.
Well, we do know. We absolutely do know. And I'll tell you another thing, man, in terms of just teams, watching teams this year, man, what's up with those freaking Houston Rockets, man? I know Jamal Murray's down for Denver, but damn, they beat freaking Denver, man. When Jokic cleaned up on the boards, got his points, got his assists. Freaking, it's Houston, man. These dudes is up there right now, these young guys.
I think the Lakers got him last night, though.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, they've been on their run. Now, matter of fact, didn't they beat the Lakers the other day?
Did they play them twice? I don't know.
I don't know if they played them twice, but I thought they beat the Lakers.
Pretty sure they played them. They lost to them last night.
Yeah, they did lose to them last night, but they're still the Houston Rockets. This is a team that was like okay, we just say that they're young.
They got a lot of young talent, and there's going to be nights where they're going to look like young players. There's going to be nights where all that talent is going to click.
Yeah, they've clicked more often than not so far this season. This season's still still young, and these young players are still going to have that chemistry that they have to build, and they've been doing it. But I mean, I'm pretty excited for these guys, because I was like, I'm talking about the better teams that are young, and OKC continues to be that team. And then I looked at the Orlando Magic, who actually beat the Lakers as well, over the past couple of days. So, and they're, getting after it. But so many nice young teams. Now looking for Detroit to do something. Another young team.
And the Cavs beat the Warriors twice.
Yeah, right.
Got off to a decent start, but I think they're 5-4 now. I think their deficiencies are showing up. Someone
showed a stat on Klay Thompson today, and all the numbers that look just terrible, man. Like the past 5 games, I think. His numbers are just he gets some solid looking numbers, but the way he had gotten it, like 4 for like 8 or 4 for not 4 for 8, like 4 for like 15 or something like that. He's not looking good. So I wonder, obviously he's such a big part of that team that it's going to be an issue if he can't get his game off. You're not going to just rely on Steph Curry, but you still need the big man, which they decided not to go after.
Yeah, they don't really have a big man. But problem with Klay is, he's a limited ball handler. And if his shot's not falling, if he's got to put it on the floor, he's going to struggle.
Well, and the team is struggling now too, because now, and even though Steph is getting his points, and you know how he is with the handle, you would think that they could hold the fort, but they need that missing link. That's what made them who they were to begin with. When they had all those guys working.
I said it during the offseason. Trading for Chris Paul made no sense. And I guess they're replacing Jordan Poole with Chris Paul. That's an upgrade, but that wasn't why they lost in the playoffs. They didn't have enough size. They went against the Lakers. They got killed on the boards. They had no answer for AD, who's inconsistent, but still outplayed Looney. Which he should dominate Looney.
Man, we're talking about the big men that were available for them, and they didn't go after that. Bol was the guy I thought would have been nice for them. Not just because he's a big dude, but he actually is a skillful big guy. You know, he goes after the boards too. He's not scared. He looks frail, but he's probably stronger than he looks. But I don't know what they're thinking of. Is the GM?
Yeah, one of the plays they used to have a lot of success on was having the big man pick for Steph. Steph draws the attention. He throws the alley-oop to the big man. They've been missing that. You need easy baskets once in a while. Everything can't be a catch-and-shoot three-pointer. Steph running around 5 screens to jack up a 3. You can't do that on every possession. You got to get some easy ones.
Now, as far as overall with basketball, we see that there's injuries in Denver now with Jamal Murray out. And Dallas is Luke is leading the way with Dallas and doing well. And his turnovers have gone down a bit. And then a lot of these young teams, like OKC, like Orlando, now we're seeing Houston playing the way they're playing. Sacramento, not surprising anyone this year, but they're not surprising anyone at all right now, the way they've been playing. And then San Antonio, they have their ups, they have their downs. They have this Wemby lookout. You know what I mean? This Wemby lookout, I think it's a 10-day Wemby lookout they had. They showed a bit of it today. I mean, he's doing what he can, and he's going to get the wins on occasion. He's going to get the losses probably more often than not in the early going. But you can see the raw talent there. Just going down the list, Boston still seems like the odds-on favorite when everybody's healthy and everybody just kind of contributes. The Miami Heat, I don't know what to think about them. 1 minute they're good, next minute they're not.
Yeah, because until Philly does it in the playoffs, they could have the number 1 seed. I'm still not going to believe it until they actually do it. But speaking of Philly, I don't know. Some people may consider me going too hard at Harden, calling him a piece of shit. But Philly's undefeated. Philly's undefeated since the trade, and the Clippers haven't won a game since the trade. So there you go.
You know what? I heard people today saying, well, Stu, it's chemistry. You got to let him get into the team first. No, that's the reason why they're losing. He's on the team. The hell are you talking about? Give me a break, man, out of here. And how about the freaking Memphis Grizzlies? The Grizzlies aren't a John Morant away from being a significant team again. There's a lot more issues with that team. I don't know what they are. Desmond Bain got his money. He's trying to justify it. You see him putting up the numbers, but the wins aren't coming the way you would expect. Even without John last season or the season before, they were winning until when he came back, they started losing until he kind of got back into his groove. But now he's out and no one's doing anything. I don't think they really expected Derrick Rose to come in and contribute. They looked at him more as a mentor, kind of like a hands-off mentor, because he's not a babysitter. So now this Grizzlies team, I think they're out of it. Even when he comes back, I don't think anything changes. And Adams is out.
Keep in mind they lost Dylan Brooks in the offseason. Yeah. And Steven Adams is out for the season.
Yeah, he's out for the year.
And with John Morant out, that's 40% of your starting lineup. And then with Brooks being gone, that's one of your high energy guys. You know, he was their Marcus Smart.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they're not a John Marcus Smart. They're not a John Morant away from being successful this season. So when he comes back, I don't think anything changes a whole lot. I don't know if they go to the playoffs this year.
Sure, they'll be better, but again, you're missing your starting center.
Yeah, you're missing your starting center.
He's the anchor of that defense. When he's in the paint, you don't get too many rebounds. That dude, you can't move him. He's so strong.
Yeah.
You know, he clogs up the lane. He might change a shot or two, but when you got that anchor back there, I know Golden State wishes they had him.
Golden State wish they had it. Well, I can't even say they wish it because they had a chance and then didn't do it. For anybody, even Mo Bamba, the guy who does absolutely nothing everywhere he's been. He's a body builder. He's a big, strong body, man. His game just isn't up to par. I mean, I wouldn't call him quality.
Don't know what he's doing over there.
Man, I wonder how come. I'm not even going to act like I'm a basketball GM, but how could things that seem so obvious not be as obvious to these guys who supposedly know better, played the game in the locker room, they know this.
How about this? Instead of trading for CP3, they may have had to given up a little more, but trade for Ayton.
You know what? That's true.
Trade for Ayton. He was involved in that trade. Don't trade a guard for a guard when you need a big man. Trade for Ayton. He's not Giannis. He's not Embiid or Jokic, but he's somebody with an active body. Somebody you can throw the alley-oop to. I was talking about. Somebody's going to block shot. Someone who could at least slow down other big men. But hey, I don't know. I'm not a GM. Maybe it doesn't make sense.
Man, sometimes you can say, I'm not a GM, man, but God, you can just say these things and just sounds better than what they're doing.
It's not fantasy basketball. You can't just do. Yeah, but there was a trade he was involved in when they got CP3 in that same trade.
It was the NBA is different than the NFL. You got to match contracts and all that kind of stuff too. But man, it just blows my mind how some things are so glaring and it just doesn't get done by the people who should know this in their sleep. But anyway, that's going to close it for here tonight, man, because, well, tomorrow we'll get a chance to talk about what's going on Monday Night Football tonight. I forgot who's playing tonight. It doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, I'm out of the loop, man. It was all Florida State, Miami this weekend. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to catch up.
Well, Denver's heading to Buffalo tonight, so are we going to get another 70-point spiel? I doubt it. Denver's got a little better, even though they're coming over to the East Coast from their Mountain West time.
But you said that, and that makes me think, I think I'll just unpack.
That's probably true because Josh.
I got home late last night, man. But late enough where I was like, man, I unpack tomorrow.
So we'll wait around for that game if it comes on, if it doesn't, but we'll talk about it tomorrow, and nevertheless. And there's other things going on in the sports world, more basketball getting played tonight. College basketball is in absolute full swing as well. And I know there's more college football. This Jim Harbaugh thing is not going away. It's only getting better. In other words, worse for him. So, but it looks like it might be better for you being a Chicago Bears fan with him possibly hanging in the balance and possibly coming back to the NFL. It may just happen.
He can come to the NFL and steal all the signs he wants.
Yeah, still sign, do all those other crazy things like still sign, deflate balls, the whole nine. He'll get away with it. Anyways.
Hack the opposing team's communications.
Man, hey, man, you know what? They get paid a lot more to do it over there on that level than it would in college anyhow. You know what I mean? I think he might need to find another Marine because I think there's Stallion Connor is a former Marine. So he went on a mission on this one. And mission accomplished, but with a lot of mess. It can't get messy in the swamp. Anyway, signing out on today's episode, I'm Trav. He's biased. We're back from Tallahassee, but we're now back at our respective corners and ready to come out tomorrow with some more sports talk, depending on what's going on. Until then, deuces.
Peace.